What I would like to talk about today is adaptability. How adaptable is the Italian industry, Italian footwear industry?
Well, I'll say that it's not just the footwear industry. This is a characteristic of the Italian people to be very flexible and very adaptable. Therefore, the Footwear Manufacturer Association, representing 700 of the most important brands producing shoes in Italy, is very adaptable too. Those companies are really very flexible, and what I'm saying is we have a very important unicity in Italy, and that's probably why we produce 50% of the high-end goods in the entire world for shoes, which is we have the entire network ready and available for the shoes company within few kilometers. We call it kilometer zero production. We have all the sole, the heels producer or the component producer within few kilometers. And so you understand that we can really be flexible compared to other companies that they have to ship their the components to overseas, to Asia particularly, but also in South America. And they need a few weeks to go and back and forth. We do not. We need a truck that goes 10 kilometers far, comes back in a few hours. That makes it very flexible. You mentioned Russia. This is one of the biggest issues that we have to face recently.
Russia a big market for Italian footwear industry?
EU is still the biggest market for Italian shoes, being France, Germany and Italy itself the three biggest markets. But outside the EU, Russia historically was the biggest market, particularly for luxury and high-end products. And now that Russia is slowing down in terms of the economy, of course, our companies are struggling. And so again, they have to be very adaptable and trying to discover new markets. And luckily, there are few markets in the world that are growing. Therefore, also in that, we can see adaptability. Technology is something that is also one of the big characteristics of Italians in general, together with many others, I will say, flexibility, passion, quality, design, and technology and innovation. We are ahead probably of many other producers because we always invest in research and development, in new technology. In new technology, in this case, I mean producing technologies. And this is also probably one of the biggest reasons Italian manufacturers are still leading the world of high-end products.
So you've been, sorry to interrupt, but you've been talking about production, I mean innovation in terms of production, but how about in terms of retail?
Now China is all about e-commerce, especially for those middle-sized brands that they do not have the force, the power to have their own retailers in Asia and China. Big opportunity is to go through e-commerce. So big players like JD.com that is fiercely coming to Italy, scouting for new companies. Those platforms, they do represent a big opportunity, and others of course. China for sure is one of those. It's growing double-digit years on year. It's still a brand-dominated country, so the big brands, they are actually getting more from this new era of luxury consumer that are now aware of what the rest of the world is, because they're way more open. They are travelers, they travel the world, they come to Europe, they see the brands that we have in Europe, so they are also more aware. But the big is still dominated by big brands, and they do not have yet a multi-brand retailers in China. Therefore, for middle-sized companies, it's harder. There are other markets, though, that they are delivering us good results, including Japan, that is finally growing again, where, of course, Japanese market has always been very important for Italian and anyway high-end products, because Japanese have in their culture to love what is well done. And clearly Italy, France, and this important producer, we are quality oriented. Korea is also growing fast, South Korea of course. We have been recently having a mission there with companies, to open up even more this market. But this comes to an important point, which is the free trade agreements. We, in terms of Europe, an important free trade agreement with South Korea that has been in place since few years, 2012, even 2011 started. But in 2012, 13, 14 and 15, we have seen the results of it, which is a tremendous growth in terms of export directed to this market.
So do you mean, these free trade agreements, similar to like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, for instance, is mostly lowering the tax, the tariffs?
Correct, the barriers. And that's why we really do hope that we will sign a similar agreement with Japan. Nowadays, Japan has a double protection. There is not just a high barrier in terms of taxes, but there is also quotas. So there is a certain amount of footwear that they can be imported in Japan, and they have a specific taxation, which is already high. If you exceed that quota, then there is an additional taxation. So you understand it's a capped market, but it's not, because the demand it's growing. So we do hope that Japan will follow what it did with the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and sign an agreement with Europe to cancel those tariffs, because the demand is there and the production is in our markets. And so how can we match it? Let's cut the tariff down.
So do these new markets like Korea and Japan, do they compensate, the loss that Italian footwear industry, has lost with
Absolutely
Russia,
not.
which I think is in the scope of what, 60%?
Yeah, well, we lost one-third and one-third consistently in the last 3 years. So one-third of what it was, then one-third again, and one-third again. 60%, 70%, 50%, depends of course on the company. The truth is we had an incredible slowdown, not depending on us, but depending on Russian economy, but also depending on something that we can certainly avoid, which are the sanctions that Europe is still doing against Russia. We are strongly against those sanctions because we can avoid it, and the Russians are a proud country and we like them because of this. And so what do you think? If I give you a sanction, would you buy my product? I don't think so. That's something we can avoid. So we hope that the European Parliament will finally drop those sanctions in the months to come. Unfortunately, the new markets, they do not compensate what we're losing in Russia. However, we still believe that there is a possibility to grow even in new market and emerging market. Iran is one of those. Everyone is now talking about it. And what happened there? It happened that they did drop the tariff, the taxes. That's why now it's an open market. US, we are waiting, finger crossed, for the TTIP, which is another partnership agreement. Yeah, but this is within Europe and the US, and we hope that this will be signed because it represented tremendous opportunities for our companies.
So we can say that the Italian footwear industry is going through hardship, but still quite optimistic, about the future.
Of course, this is another characteristic of Italian population, optimism. So, of course, we are optimistic on the future because we do have the best products in the world, and we want to give it to the world. So we have to be optimistic because we have the right quality and the right production.
Okay, well, I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for your time.